From UFOs to psychic powers and government conspiracies, history is riddled with unexplained events. You can turn back now, or learn the stuff they don't want you to know.
I like this. This is juicy.
It's juicy. It's a little bit of a mystery, and it gives me the opportunity to explore some terms around a world that I'm still only vaguely familiar with. Like, it's just not something that I participate in. But Bitcoin, we've talked about it. You know what it is. You might have bought some on the cheap and now are, worth a mint, or you might have done like super producer Casey Pegram on Ridiculous History and sold it before it reached full fruition. So I think that's something that Casey is one of his big regrets, and he talks about it openly. So I'm not throwing him under the bus here, but yeah, it's absolutely true.
Yeah, Casey and I were super close to getting some of this, and even pulling the trigger on selling it, but just got in too early. He and I are still not as bad off as that one guy who paid for a pizza in Bitcoin, and, exactly. And what at one point, amounted to, I think, the most expensive pizza in history.
Absolutely. So for today's story, we're going to talk about what could either be a really smart move, a really dumb move, or somebody getting absolutely ripped off. The headline from a Vice article by Lorenzo Franceschi Bicchiero reads as so. And someone just emptied out a Bitcoin wallet with $964 million in it. It's almost $1 billion in Bitcoin. And this actually came from, of course, it being Listener Mail Day, a listener by the name of Christopher. And he said, here's a story for you to check out. Also wondering what the process is for converting Bitcoin into cash. So let's get there, get discussing a few interesting terms. But first, my goodness, $964 million. See, the thing about Bitcoin, and you might be able to add a little more meat onto the bones here, Ben, but it is an open thing that people can watch. Like, you can pay attention to these like blockchains and see, when the money is being moved around, when the Bitcoin is being moved around. And apparently, and there's an address. The address to this particular Bitcoin repository or wallet was 1HQ3GO3GGS8P FNXUHV HR YT PCQ5FGGHBHX. And this is a known wallet, and it had been watched pretty closely because it had been dormant for a long time. And this particular Bitcoin wallet was emptied all of a sudden. And there's a lot of theories that are swirling around. This Vice article suggests that, okay, it could have been a heist. It could have been just whoever the long inactive user behind this wallet decided there were maybe too many eyes on it, and he wanted to move it to another wallet. And there's actually a link in this Vice article to another wallet, evidenced the fact that this blockchain situation is absolutely open to anyone that knows about it and wants to look into it. And it had particularly been something that was discussed in the cryptocurrency community for a long time, that it was perhaps one of the most valuable Bitcoin addresses in all of existence. And there had been reports of hackers attempting to break into it using brute force attacks to find the password. So, I would say if there was already news that this wallet was being attempted to be brute force hacked, good a reason as any of the owner to swoop in and move it.
Sure.
But I guess no real reason to. I don't know. What do you think, Ben? In terms of like the you can't really look up. I mean, are bank accounts all public domain information? I mean, I don't think so, right?
Bank accounts?
Yeah, bank accounts.
Like your old school Chase or your
my Chase, my bank account
or your Wachovia.
There's not like
a
list. There's not like a list of all bank accounts, right?
Just with
owners,
yeah, probably somewhere. Just to use, I'd say Wachovia, just to use a extinct example, since it's Wells Fargo now, and the name is hilarious. It sounds like a word for sneeze in a foreign language. Yeah, Bitcoin is different because the idea of the coexistence of a degree of transparency with a degree of security or privacy or anonymity is pretty fascinating. But it's also a tremendous. It's tremendously fertile soil for bad actors, right? Like I would pay close attention to maybe state actors or proxies or intelligence agencies that want to use Bitcoin or that run Bitcoin, because we have to remember the person who apparently invented Bitcoin has still never been publicly identified. Mm-hmm. So it's sketchy.
Yeah, that's right. And while you can see that the money was moved, you don't know who, like to your point, Ben, you don't know who the person is, and we'll never really know the story until that person comes out and tells the story. And in looking into this, I discovered some terms that I hadn't really run across before, and I've known enough about Bitcoin to know a handful of things, like about the blockchain and about like the Mount Gox heist and all of that stuff. But there was a term that came up: the idea of someone who would have held on to this amount of Bitcoin for long enough for it to be worth this much, and the term is called hodling. Are you familiar with hodling, Ben?
I've heard it before. Why do you use it in a sentence for everyone?
Well, that guy did a really good job of hodling his Bitcoin.
There we go.
Because he essentially is a term that was coined, Bitcoined, I guess. Kill me. Yeah, so like back in 2013, when the price of Bitcoin went from like I think around $15 in the beginning of that year to over $1,100 in just a month's time, and there was this very quick period where there was a talk of possible like Chinese crackdown that could have caused a catastrophe in the Bitcoin valuation world. And in that time, there was a post on a message board from a user by the name of Game Kyubi who posted, "I am hodling." And this was clearly kind of a drunk, typo-ridden rant. And I'm going to read it because it's pretty fantastic. "I am hodling. I typed that title twice because I knew it was wrong the first time. Still wrong. WE. Why am I holding? He spells it right there. I'll tell you why. It's because I am a bad trader, and I know I'm a bad trader. Yeah, you good traders can spot the highs and the lows, pit, pat, piffy, wing, wong, wang, just like that, and make $1,000,000. Sure, no problem, bro. You only sell in a bear market if you are a good day trader or an illusioned noob. The people in between hold. In a zero-sum, he gets a little more cognizant here. Games such as this, traders can only take your money if you sell. And this, was the typo that launched 1,000 ships, and hodling became the new term for like holding on to your Bitcoin. And it was like a bunch of memes surrounding it with like movies like 300 and Braveheart as the backdrop. And then of course, Hodor from Game of Thrones, that became a thing. And there's a whole philosophy behind it as like a strategic way of ensuring, like to not, it can be so volatile that it's easy to get spooked, and pull all your Bitcoin out. But it's the same with stocks. It's not like it's that different, but you don't hodl stocks. So there's that.
So have you ever heard the idea that the alphabet soup actually invented Bitcoin?
No.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. So we know that at least part of the protocol is derived from the NSA. There's a thing called SHA-256. It's a hashing algorithm. It's a big part of the Bitcoin structure. And it was from the NSA, first published in 2001, which means we don't know when they exactly came up with it. And then there's the idea that the creator, this is all, speculative stuff, but there's the idea that the still anonymous creator of it, Satoshi Nakamoto, that's the name they've used, which anybody recalls from our earlier Bitcoin episode. There's the idea that that name means Central Intelligence, if you look at the translation, which is pretty crazy, because Satoshi means intelligent, or many other things, and Nakamoto means central origin. And then also, Bitcoin may be compromised according to some WikiLeaks documents released under Vault 7, meaning that it could be a perfect trap to catch people. So it sounds like the argument here is that this anonymous person finally cashed out of their Bitcoin after hodling, as you said, for quite a while, right? And they just let it grow. Do you know the initial amount they put in?
That I do not believe is in here, though. I would think you could trace it with the blockchain, but I'm not quite sure how that works.
Okay. And then we know that a ton of people have tried brute force hacks with that, and a ton of people have purported to sell access to that wallet. But so far, it's still a mystery. To me, so in any like black bag or off the books operation, if this thing was truly secure, then intelligence agencies would be all over it like air horns on a mixtape. You know, it even looks like the NSA has been figuring out a way to track down and dangerously identify Bitcoin users. That's per the newest Russian resident, Edward Snowden. He just got his Russian residency confirmed. You heard about that, right?
Oh, no, I didn't, but I did hear that Putin is perhaps stepping down because he was diagnosed with Parkinson's.
Yeah, that's the rumor. But that rumor came from The Sun, so I would not give it much credence. But yeah, he is. He might be going gentle into that good night. Who knows? He's one of those guys. We don't know how much money that dude actually has, and we might not ever know how much.
Can't possibly imagine.